just a quick video about a thought I had about the Australian white ibis. It's called a bin chicken in Australia, and it seems remarkably close to the African sacred ibis. And I know there's a lot of talk about ancient Egypt in Australia and the Egyptian hieroglyphs. And I've got some other ideas about that sort of theme being more of a Phoenician theme. But anyway, I wanted to talk about that in a different video. Just as a quick one. So the Australian ibis, white ibis, is part of the Thresciornis genus, which includes the African ibis. If you go through a few of these, this is an image of the African sacred ibis. There's some images here. And basically it looks exact. You can look it up yourself. It looks pretty much exactly the same. Black feathers at the back, the actual the beak size, the head, the blackness, and even the tips of the wings in flight is similar to the Australian ibis, almost down to very fine detail. If you look at some of the other birds of the genus, it's they actually their beaks are very different, their structure is very different. They're from around the world. They can look quite starkly different in this case. They're a completely different bird, but the African and the Australian ibis are very similar. There's a note here saying that it is here, taxonomy. It is very closely related to the black-headed ibis and the Australian white ibis, with which it forms a superspecies, so much so that they can actually interbreed. The distribution of the African ibis is obviously Africa and parts of Iraq. They've been put into Europe a little bit, but they're generally African and parts of Iraq indigenously. The Australian white ibis is seen throughout the coast of the east coast and around Perth. A little bit on the north coast, but not much, but basically around south and east and around the eastern part of Australia and the southwest around Perth, not in Tasmania. So if this bird had been here for if this bird, I just like to say this, if this bird was supposed to be in Australia forever and ever for a very long time, then why does it look so much like the African, even though you expect a species to mutate to local conditions? And secondly, if it's been here for so long, then why has it not colonized Tasmania when it could probably live in Tasmania if need be, even though it's colder, or a subspecies could live in Tasmania, but it hasn't. And so it looks like that it's been introduced into Australia before Tasmania was separated. So that means that it hasn't been consistent with the spread of human population in Australia. Just to clarify about the African sacred ibis, it is associated with Thoth, which is one of the principal Egyptian deities who has the head of a ibis and is very prominent in Egyptian religion, and people that study the anatomy of birds and so forth might have a different view about this, but it's just an interesting thing I wanted to raise, and maybe it doesn't mean anything, but maybe it means something. So thanks.